right, welcome into Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho.
And this is Jacob Waters.
And we have a great show for you guys today. Gonna touch on some news. Not a lot of news this week, so we're good there. A couple of fantasy football things that we're gonna talk about. Just some certain players. We're gonna talk about values, things like that, and then we're gonna get into the the NFC South.
There's a difference in that, yeah.
AFC South was last week. NFC South this week. We're gonna talk about the NFC South. Go play team by team, and then our top 5 of the week is also NFC South related. It's the best players from the top 5 best players from the NFC South.
And I took the defensive side of that. He took the offensive side.
We had to because we could not fit. There's a lot of players. There's still players that I left off my list because I took offense. I couldn't just have 5 players.
Same. There's no way. This whole division is loaded from top to bottom. I can listen to an argument from every single team to see how they win this technically.
Yeah. And for those of you watching on YouTube, thank you so much. We are repping some of our new jerseys that we got on eBay. We are addicted to buying jerseys just nonstop. So
it is a financial problem. It
is an issue, yes. But we got that set up. And also, if you're on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. We have a couple videos coming out. We're gonna have a film review video coming out on Wednesday of this week. Actually, yesterday, because this episode of the podcast comes out on Thursday, and then tomorrow, Friday, it comes out our video that we did, where we did a review.
Oh, the Kick Six,
Kick Six reactions video. So that was a lot of fun. We went back and watched the 2013 Iron Bowl, and that was a lot of fun. So that was a good one. I hope you guys enjoy that. Let's get right into it with some of the news.
What do you got?
All right. So first things first, the NFL salary cap could decline in 2021. That was the first report that came out. Obviously, COVID has a lot to do with that.
I see no way that it goes down.
I don't see how it couldn't, honestly. I'm on the other side of that a little bit.
I get it. It's just the NFL has so much buzz and so much money. Now with the COVID thing, yes, I understand that.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. And I don't think the NFL's, scrap for cash right now anyway.
Yeah, if the worst stays the same, right?
I would think so. I get that, but it could go down. And we're looking at, we don't talk baseball very much on this pod, but the baseball players are basically saying we're not going to take a pay cut. And that's kind of a whole deal, which baseball, is so different than the NFL and football. It's just,
so I know a little bit about the Baseball Players Association. They are one of the strongest in sports when it comes to getting what they want and negotiations. So owners are kind of at a little bit of a standstill here because it only makes sense. You think that all players should be able to run their sport in a way because it's like, if I don't step out on the field, what do you sell?
Yeah.
As an owner, you at a certain point you have to realize that we need them.
It's unfortunate, but it's like the football player mindset. First of all, it's obviously a bigger roster and things like that. But it's just, I feel like it's just a different mindset in the NFL. Like it's so much more of a like we're just gonna go and we're just gonna go to work kind of thing, like that that working class mindset almost. And obviously not quite the same, but it's similar. It's very interesting. Would players take a pay cut? Would the NFL players agree to take a pay cut if there's less games or something happens? We don't know what's going to happen right now. We're kind of just in limbo with what's going to happen in the spring.
So I don't know. It just depends on the stipulations behind it. But I'll look at it from the baseball side just because that's the one that we're having to look at now.
Yeah.
So if baseball plays 60 games, I don't think that your Bryce Harpers, your Giancarlo Stantons, your true studs, all those guys should not be making their hundreds of millions of dollars like they normally do.
What's a full season? 160 games?
162 games.
162 games. Yeah. That's ridiculous. You can't play 100 less games and expect to make the same amount of money.
There's just no way that you're going to be able to win that argument.
Yeah, we don't get to go to work and work 4 hours less a week and make the same amount of money. That's just crazy.
It sucks. It's misfortunate for everyone who has, because certain timetables, especially NFL wise. You look at certain guys who just got their big payday, or they're on the end of it and they're trying to get a new one. You have less time to prove your point as to why you need to be the next highest paid guy, or less money that you already just got paid for balling out.
Yeah, and that's absolutely true. It affects the financial side. And then I always think about the guys that are on the bottom of the roster, right? And we actually talked about it on the podcast.
The ones that I just forgot about.
Yeah, we talked about it on the podcast a while ago about Adam Thielen saying if this would have happened when he was a rookie, he never would have made it in the NFL.
And that's sad.
He never would have had a chance. And then that makes you think, like, there's a couple guys that didn't get drafted that I was actually a fan of, like JJ Taylor. There's a video on YouTube that I did on JJ Taylor. Taylor out of Arizona State, doesn't get drafted, goes to the Patriots, and it's like just one of those guys that I still believe in, I still think can make the team, could be one of those diamond in the rough type of players. Is he ever even going to have a chance? Or are the guys that are actually making the decision for the NFL going to say, no, we're not going to play if you're not going to pay us? And then this guy who just wants a chance never gets that chance. You know, there's so many levels to it. And it's like we all talk about, obviously, the Patriots, or excuse me, the Tom Brady's, the Drew Breeses, the guys getting that top dollar, they're going to be fine. We know they're going to be fine. That's just.
I think maybe some of those guys may need to step up and take care of some of the stuff for the bottom guys. One more baseball thing. David Price got signed to a multi-million-dollar deal for the Dodgers. He agreed to pay every single minor leaguer.
Agreed to pay every single minor leaguer?
For the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Oh, that's
organization.
Cool. That's really cool. Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. That's the kind of thing you got to see.
It's chump change to him, you know. Yeah, but those guys at the bottom, they're having to they really don't get paid that much.
No, the guys on the bottom, they're making less than us sometimes. Yeah. Like I mean, they're just working their ass off.
$28,000 a year is like average. I think
they're making teacher money. I mean, it's crazy. All right, so we'll move on. I thought that was interesting. A couple injuries I do want to talk about, and then we'll kind of move on from news. Henry Ruggs gets injured off field while moving furniture.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Apparently there was an open wound on his leg. Everyone's saying it's not going to be serious. It's just kind of interesting now that a player of that caliber gets a leg injury and
for moving furniture.
Yeah, for moving furniture. Apparently, he was helping his friend move furniture, and he gets caught between whatever he was carrying and a leg and a car. So it just kind of got pinned. Dang. And he got messed up a little bit. Hopefully that doesn't affect him. But I wouldn't bring up something small like that. But it's for a guy, obviously a top 15 pick, and got picked based on his speed. Gets a leg injury. Thought that was interesting. Something to look at. It might be nothing. Might end up being something. We'll see. And then the first ACL tear. So what I want to do on this pod,
always a few.
What I want to do this year is I really want to keep track of all the ACL tears because there's so many that happen throughout the league. Noah Spence, defensive end for defensive tackle end, kind of mixed type of guy for the Saints. Starter, got hurt at the end of last year.
He was a good player.
Yeah, and then now tears his ACL, is going to be out for the season. That's unfortunate. And then the last one is our little bit of college news. The Clemson.
That's
wide
what I was
receiver.
about to mention was Justin Ross.
Yeah.
That's what I just thought of.
Exactly.
It's disheartening.
So what happened to him?
I don't know. It was a spinal.
It was a spinal neck injury. Yeah.
I don't know all the details.
I didn't know if you knew. Yeah, there's really not a lot of information out there yet. That's really unfortunate. A guy who
he's done for the year.
Yeah, I didn't know a lot about him. You follow college a lot more than I do. I start to like really pay attention to the players that are eligible for the draft, right? So he wasn't on that radar. But I was watching T. Higgins. Throughout the draft process, I remember watching T. Higgins and being like, "Who's this kid?" Like Justin Ross significantly better.
The number one wide receiver in the class.
Yeah. Over Jamar Chase?
Yes.
Really? Wow.
I really like Justin Ross.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. No, those are two good ones. All right, so we'll move on. A couple fantasy options, then we're gonna dive into the NFC South. Pretty much the entire show. So So hope you guys are interested in that. All right, so this is just a couple running backs throughout the league. Where would you draft him? Where do you like him? First one is Melvin Gordon this year. Moves from the Chargers to the Denver Broncos. And I actually have a video on the Denver Broncos coming out tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. I have a little bit of opinion on that because of the research I've done for that video. But I just like to ask you because you're really in tune with ADP and all that kind of stuff.
Melvin Gordon is the 11th ranked running back ADP wise.
Okay.
It puts him right around the mid-second round because that's how we all know how fast running backs
absolutely.
go. I would not feel comfortable there. I won't lie.
Yeah, I don't like that. If you ask me, Melvin Gordon is going to come in and take over the Royce Freeman role, right? Royce Freeman got a little over 120, 130 carries last year. I believe 72 of them were for less than 3 yards a carry.
They wanted Royce Freeman to be the guy.
Yeah, they wanted Royce Freeman to be the guy, and you watch him on film, and there's actually a portion of the video that I'm doing tomorrow, that's coming out tomorrow, that talks about the difference between Royce Freeman and Melvin Gordon. It's just night and day. Royce Freeman just doesn't have that second gear. He can't explode through the hole the way Melvin Gordon can. And Melvin Gordon, at least from the film that I watched from last year, is not the same as he used to be. Because I remember the first couple of years, he just used to just absolutely explode through holes. He still has that burst. He still has a little bit of it left. It's fading though. I'm going to tell you. I think this is the last year of value for Melvin Gordon.
Wow.
I really believe that.
I still think he's got it. Yeah, I just don't think that I'm going to take him up there just because of workload share.
I absolutely agree. I think I do think he comes in and becomes a starter. I think Philip Lindsay does get relegated to that second string running back.
Like as a 50-50 share.
It's going to be 50-50, but it's always one running back always has the the majority carries, and we call them the starter. So I think it will be Melvin Gordon getting 65%.
Melvin in the fourth, I draft. There's a big difference in the second and fourth. We know.
Yeah, Melvin the fourth. If you're drafting him as your second, maybe third running back, that's awesome. That's great. And the second, that's either.
But I mean, if you're gutsy and you go Julio or Michael Thomas in the first round, which is not a bad player to snag on your team, and then you're left with you need a running back one. Don't get Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah,
I couldn't do that.
That's tough. I would rather take a chance on, and I don't know ADP. I don't know where we're going. I haven't done any mock fantasy drafts yet. But I would rather go for, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I would rather take a chance on the rookie with the higher upside than I would Melvin Gordon. I think
give me a Josh Jacobs before.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs if he's available. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so next one is Todd Gurley, and this one's a little bit harder. I mean, if you had Todd Gurley on your team in the 2018-19 season, you went to the fantasy playoffs, and I did, and I went to the fantasy playoffs, and then you probably lost because he didn't play week 16 because he was hurt. I lost that year too. I remember that. In the league that we play together.
Yep.
Melvin Gordon, never really came back to 100%, but now he is going to the Atlanta Falcons, and he is going to be the workhorse essentially, right? There's not anybody else on that Falcons team that you really worry about taking the majority of the carries away from him.
And this is one of those guys, when you look at ADP, he's the 32nd ranked running back. 7th round.
I like him in the 7th round.
Give him to me. Bye.
Yeah,
I'm willing to take Melvin a little earlier than some. I don't know. Maybe I like the feel-good story behind it. I like the idea that he could come in and there's no real threat to take that role from him. I like the offense as a whole with the passing game and hopefully getting some attention off of him.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things with L.A. and the Rams that we all knew where the ball was going. You never were truly afraid of Jared Goff, in my opinion. It was through the play-action passing game and the running game is what did it.
I absolutely agree, yeah.
I mean, give him to me in the 5th. I have no problem with reaching on Todd Gurley there.
Todd Gurley in the 5th is steep for me. But
I would do it.
But, I get it. So you think there's going to be value just because, look, people, it's like the stocks we talk about it because, people overcorrect. There's, every reaction is an overreaction almost. So it's like everyone's down on Todd Gurley, and it's going to be that, you're going to find value in those type of guys because, it's just
I have no problem with him being my third running back on the roster.
Yeah, that's fine. Third running back, Todd Gurley.
I said target in the 5th. That gives me 2 receivers, 2 running backs. 5th round, Todd Gurley fills the...
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. Then you take some flyers late. Yeah, I'd be good with that. Bad. I agree with that. All right, last one, Mark Ingram. Now, I think I'm going to be lower on him than you are, but I'd like to hear what you think first.
No. I'm one of those guys, when you look at the Ravens as a backfield as a whole, I try to stay away from them. I'm not saying that these guys don't have talent and that they don't, real life production. They tremendously help their team. Mm-hmm. Fantasy-wise, I don't touch Mark Ingram. PPR, we're in a PPR league, so you don't get a lot of value out of that.
Yeah,
he gets the touchdowns.
Lamar,
he's going in the 3rd round.
He's going in the 3rd round. Yeah, Lamar Jackson doesn't throw to his running backs first of all, very often anyway. So the PPR aspect just isn't there. Yeah, I can't imagine touching him in the 3rd round, especially because, you didn't mention it, but J.K. Dobbins. Look at who
they drafted.
J.K. Dobbins, they drafted him in the 2nd round. He was my running back 1 this year. He was. I loved J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah.
I thought he was awesome. And, people might argue with that, but he's still incredibly talented no matter where you had him ranked. And I just can't imagine that he doesn't come in and earn the majority of the carries by week 10 at least, right? Now, again, like you said, this is a loaded backfield. It's actually funny because one of the questions that I had last week when I asked you those 2 questions that you didn't know, one of them that I was going to ask you that I didn't end up doing it because we didn't really have time was it was about the Ravens and should they trade one of their running backs. I don't have it written down because it was just one of the ideas. But should they trade a Gus Edwards or
they still have Justice Hill, right?
Justice Hill or Gus Edwards, one of those back to 2 guys in the 3rd or 4th running back on their roster, and that's just kind of tough to hold on to when you could get some legitimate value for, I feel like, those guys, like the Dolphins right now. Mm-hmm. Would the Dolphins trade a 4th round pick for Gus Edwards? I think they probably would at some point because they don't really have anybody.
There's a role that needs to be filled there.
Exactly. So there's something there. I think the Ravens have a lot of guys. It's tough. The way they play football.
A lot of mouths to feed.
There's no fantasy value really there. I think 3rd round is ridiculous for Melvin Gordon.
I wouldn't touch it.
Mark Ingram.
Give me Todd Gurley over Mark Ingram. I may sound stupid in saying that. I may be buying into Todd Gurley's comeback too much. I see the upside with Todd Gurley. Mark Ingram had his games last year. He did. I'm not going to deny that there were weeks
he played great.
He was a top 5 running back. But I just cannot, in good confidence, start him at a running back 1 or 2 and expect to get that output. It's so wishy-washy.
Yeah, that's tough. I love him. I love it because you said Todd Gurley was going 7th. I would go Mark Ingram over Todd Gurley in the 7th. I would.
Yes, I would go Mark Ingram over Todd Gurley in the
7th. So I mean that's
Mark Ingram's
kind of where I'm at.
We're asking for a Mark Ingram in the 3rd
over Todd Gurley in the 7th. Absolutely, yeah. No, I agree with that. But I was just saying, like, my value for Mark Ingram, it doesn't even get anywhere close to the 3rd round. I just can't even imagine that. That's ridiculous.
Something.
Yeah. I mean, all right. Hey, that was a good one. I wanted to throw a little bit of fantasy in there. We're going to keep sprinkling that in. The closer and closer we get to the season, we'll get more into like the fantasy football side of it. But let's get into the NFC South. All right.
Yeah, bring it on.
All right. So we got to talk about the Saints, right? 13-3 last year. Comes in, has some big plays. They draft Cesar Ruiz, center guard out of Michigan in the 1st round. They get Zach Bond in the 3rd. I mean, they only picked 4 times in this draft, so they went after their guys. They were very aggressive in the draft, is what I'm saying. Their over-under is 10.5 games. Because when we do this together every week. We're like, where do you think it'll be? What are you thinking? And I mean, I think we were both at 11.5, right? That's the number I would have put it. And we said 11.5. I would have gone under at 11.5.
And I said I was going over at 11.5.
You did, exactly. So,
I said I would go under at 12.5.
So yeah, they're at 10.5. Now let's talk about some of the guys they added. They did the typical we're going for broke this year type of draft and free agency, right?
Reload.
Guys they got in free agency: Janoris Jenkins, Emmanuel Sanders, Malcolm Jenkins. These are guys, older guys that maybe aren't in their prime anymore, but they're trying to just push forward. This is one of the oldest teams in the NFL right now. They are doing everything they can to try and get one last Super Bowl for Drew Brees, and I hope they get there. I really do. Let's talk about their season now, like who they have to play. I'm going to pull it up right now. If you have any other thoughts on this team, let me know.
I think one of the highlights from the Saints last year, when you look at Sean Payton as a whole, when they lost Drew Brees and Teddy Bridgewater was able to step up and win, 5 games?
Yeah, 6 games. He won all 6 of them.
They went 13-3 with a backup quarterback for a majority of the season.
Listen, I've said it many times. I think Sean Payton is one of those unsung heroes in the NFL where he's one of the best offensive minds in the game, and he gets so little credit because Drew Brees is awesome.
Well, he does, because you always hear the Sean McVays, the Zach Taylors, the Cardinals guy, I don't know why I'm blanking. Cliff Kingsbury. You always hear the new cute names. Sean Payton has been there for years and done it well.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And it's one of those things where it's like Drew Brees is awesome. Michael Thomas is awesome. They've had other players, that have been awesome. They're not as good without Sean Payton. I stand by that. I will say that about Drew Brees, even in his prime. Drew Brees was helped out a lot by Sean Payton. That's okay. Drew Brees can still be a really good quarterback, and Sean Payton can be a really good coach. I can say that. It's okay.
Out by Bill Belichick.
It's okay to say that. Yeah, it's fine. So I'm not shitting on Michael Thomas when I say Michael Thomas has been helped out a lot by Sean Payton. I mean, he's been put in a position.
Michael Thomas loves slant routes.
He's been put in a position where he runs a route and the ball is right in his face every single time. I mean, and that's helped out by Drew Brees and all that. But it's like the system is good. I mean, we watched the system win a national championship this year. I mean, that's what LSU was running. They were running the Saints offense. Mm-hmm. I mean, so it's just one of those things. We'll go through it here. They play the Bucs in week 1. Raiders, Packers, Lions, Chargers. Where are you at with that? I look at that.
You said Bucs. I think they'll beat the Bucs early. I think that's going to be a huge matchup, though. It's going to be cool to see Brady and Breeze go.
That'll be fun. Week 1, yeah.
I think they beat the Raiders, no problem.
Yeah.
I think they can beat the Packers because they get the Packers at home on Sunday night.
Yeah,
that's
exactly right. My birthday, actually.
Starting out 3-0.
Yep.
Go to the Lions. They're going to beat the Lions 4-0.
Can they beat the Panthers? No, I always look at this division because it's so weird. I feel like this division is one of those divisions where it's always split. They do. It seems like every single year they split with pretty much every team. I mean, it's very interesting how that always works. They have a pretty easy division, I feel like. I mean, they have to play the 49ers because obviously. But
that's a big one.
Yeah, they have to play the AFC West. So the Broncos, they have to play
I think they take out the Broncos. I think they take out the Raiders. I think they lose to the Chiefs. And I can't even say lose. I can't even say lose to the Chiefs. It's a toss-up. The Saints are one of the best teams in the league.
It's one of those things where I do think there's going to be some slip-up games here that we're not looking at right now.
Oh, I mean, you said, the Panthers, I could see them losing.
It's one of those things where, I mean, last year I tried to predict that that the Saints. I mean, I feel like last year was one of my biggest misses. I said the Saints were not going to be as good this year. I thought they were going to fall off a cliff. And this year, I'm having the same feeling. I really am. I'm nervous about the Saints at 10.5. I wouldn't touch it. If you put a gun to my head, I would probably say over. You won't touch 10.5? I'm saying I wouldn't touch the bet. I wouldn't bet on it.
Okay, I would bet on it.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet on it. At 10.5, I would say over. But man, I'd be scared too. I
got to see them getting 11 at worst 11.
You're right. And look, when we go through these games, I don't see a lot of losses. I really don't. So it's not one of those things where I'm worried about their schedule. I'm worried about the teams they play. It's hard to bet
on an NFL team getting over 10 wins.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to do. But really, what I'm just worried about is I am worried about the decline of the Drew Brees. I'm worried about this division is tough. I could see. It would not shock me. It would surprise me, but it would not absolutely shock me if the Panthers swept the Saints. You know what I mean? Like things like that could happen. There's some good teams there. Like obviously Saints are better than Panthers, but
Falcons. I mean,
exactly.
There's with Tom Brady and the Bucs now.
Exactly. There's matchups there that scare me. Yeah. I'm nervous. I'm not saying they're going to lose. I'm still picking them to win their division. All those things. I am nervous though. That's kind of where I'll leave it. I'm worried
about Brees as well because you also lost a guy in Teddy Bridgewater who was able to step in and be that game manager for you that Sean Payton can work with. If you go back to that Vikings game, in the playoffs, divisional round, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, was it divisional round? Wild card.
No, divisional round because
y'all
won.
Yeah, and then the 49ers torched us.
Exactly.
Yeah,
there you go.
I remember. It was Drew Brees who was kind of the thing holding back the Saints offense. I mean, he only had 180 passing yards.
I mean, you're absolutely right. And something that I feel like nobody's talking about, but if you look at Drew Brees, if you really look at what they're doing, whenever they want to go deep, Taysom Hill is in that game.
Exactly.
Taysom Hill is throwing the 50, 60-yard balls. Whenever they want to take a shot. Now, Taysom Hill is in for a lot of other things and cute plays, but whenever there's a situation where they want to take a shot, Taysom Hill comes in, Drew Brees comes out. Drew Brees, look, he's a smart guy. He's kind of in that same
surgeon.
He's in that same kind of Tom Brady-ish type of world now, where they're late 40s. The physical talent has diminished. I'm not gonna say gone, but it's diminished a little bit. I think that's fair. And they're winning more games with their brain and their ability to just. I mean, it's so slow for them. It's not. I mean, they've been doing it for years.
I think that's a compliment. On
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
at a certain point, you have to understand when your physical ability goes down.
Yeah.
It's like LeBron in basketball right now.
As long as absolutely. And then for NFL quarterback, as long as you're quick, as long as you can maneuver the pocket and you have a good scheme around you, have a good system, good players, you're going to be able to manage a game very well. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's not an insult, So we'll move on. So
we both said over.
We're both going to say over. That's a tough one for me. Yeah.
Say under. Go ahead.
No, because I don't see. 11 is very. I see
them winning the division, and they have to be over if you win the division.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So let's go next to the Buccaneers. It's tough.
A lot of changes for the Bucs.
A lot of changes for the Bucs. I'm going to go through it here. They were 7-9 last year. Drafted Tristan Wirfs in the first round. Got Antoine Winfield in the second. Safety out of Minnesota was my favorite safety in their class. Yes. Gets a local boy, the Keyshawn Vaughn, running back out of Vanderbilt, and. Moving on, they also were able to pick up Tom Brady in free agency. They re-signed a lot of guys. Man, it's different. I want to say one thing. Man, I actually want to say one more thing about the Saints, but let's go Bucs and then I'll circle back.
Okay.
I'll circle back. So where are you thinking with the Bucs?
I'm on the hype train.
You're on the hype train.
I'm on the hype train. I know you're not, and I know it's set up to, I think Brady with the system of Bruce Arians and Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Tristan Wirfs, Ali Marpet, who's Ryan Jensen. They have a pretty decent offensive line that they built up in front of him now.
They really do. That's
Rob Gronkowski came out of retirement to play for this. We're underestimating the power. You put Gronk on last year's Patriots team, it's a different Patriots team. The way that he's able to stretch the field, add in Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Gosh, man, it's going to be hard.
I'm not going to argue with it on paper. I'm not. So you look at it. Chris Godwin, we're going to talk about it. I'm going to surprise some people here later on in this episode. I love Chris Godwin. I think he's one of the best receivers in the game. He's a third or fourth year guy, and I mean he's just on the upswing of his potential. I truly believe that. I love.
He's a Tyreek Hill that doesn't get the credit.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Evans is insane. He's awesome. OJ Howard's been a little bit of a letdown, but people still seem to believe in him. I'm not sure. We'll see.
I didn't even mention him.
Exactly. I know their offensive line. people don't talk about it. Their interior offensive line, one of the best interior offensive lines in the game. I mean, you look at them, you look at the Raiders, you look at the Cowboys. That's where you're going with when you talk about the best interior. I'm talking center and guards, some of the best. And then they add, I mean, one of the best tackles in the game or in the draft in the first round
overall.
Exactly. I mean, he could have gone anywhere from 4th to 15th. He goes 14 because they traded up one pick to get him. I mean, it was just one of those things. Yeah, they have a good offensive line now. I'm very curious about the running back situation. It's actually one of the videos that I'm planning on doing for film review series that we're doing now. Who's going to step up? I mean, is it Keyshawn Vaughn? Is it Ronald Jones from their second round pick a couple years ago? We're going to see. I don't know. I think, it can be a running back by committee. Then there's still your Auburn dude.
Peyton Barber.
Peyton Barber's still there. We'll see what happens. I'm a little bit nervous, but it's one of those things where if you have a good offensive line, you're probably going to have an okay running back. The biggest thing for me is none of those guys are true pass-catching running backs, and Tom Brady loves to have that outlet. That's kind of the thing. The biggest thing for me, they have to change their scheme. Like that Tom Brady cannot come in and run the offense that Jameis Winston was running last year.
Oh yeah, well that's why we said it was the biggest mismatch for Brady to go to the Bucs.
Yeah. I don't think Brady is physically able to do it, and it's not an insult to Brady either. The offense that the Buccaneers run or that Bruce Arians runs, it's very aggressive. It forces quarterbacks to hold on to the ball. Yeah, it's a quasi air raid type of offense. They have to hold on to the ball for a long time. They take big hits. There was the reports about last year Jameis Winston putting on weight for this offense because he knew he was going to take some hits. And Jameis Winston was perfect for that offense from a physical standpoint. He didn't have it up here. I mean, that's just at the end of the day, that was the only issue in my opinion. You look at Tom Brady, he's always been in a quick fire type of offense. Like they don't make Tom Brady sit in the pocket for a super long time. He can do it. Don't get me wrong.
Ball's out in 3 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. But more often than not, he's got those slants. There's a reason that all these slot receivers have made a career of the Patriots, and Tom Brady's so good at it. They have to change their offense to match Tom Brady. If they do that, and if they do that in the right way, yeah, the sky's the limit for this team. They could win their division.
Well, that's why I think Bruce Arians and Tom Brady, like the way, he's going to go in there and not make. He's not going to make a fish climb a tree. Pretty much is what I'm saying. They're going to tailor it to his needs.
I absolutely agree with that. You just wonder. I mean, I don't know. It's just tough for me. I believe in Tom Brady, but I believe in Bill Belichick more. I think Bill Belichick has been the reason Tom Brady has been able to be successful in the past couple years. I'm not saying forever. I'm just saying since his decline. We've seen obvious decline.
Belichick has hidden the decline.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that's the best way to put it. Last year, he didn't do a lot. He just didn't. I don't have the stats in front of me right now, but he didn't physically have to do a whole lot. He ran an offense. He was a game manager in the same similar way that we were talking about Drew Brees.
Weapons, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, similar thing with Drew Brees. Drew Brees just had weapons, and Tom Brady didn't.
Yeah.
So I get that. There's so much potential for this. The way you were talking at the beginning of this little segment, I agree. It sounds exciting. It really does.
I'm there for it.
I'm scared.
Good defense too.
I'm off the hype train. There's just too much hype for it. I don't know. Come on. Well, I'm scared.
Now Super Bowl hype, yeah, that's a little much. Pump the brakes there. 10-6, 11-5, achievable.
Yeah, I agree with that. So at 9.5, where do you go?
Over. This is a bet that I don't want to bet on though.
Yeah, I'm gonna go under.
Just keep in mind with that. If I had to put money on it, I would say over because you got to go with Tom. I mean, he's the guy. Until I don't see it, I'm not going to take it away from him.
That's the best argument, I think. We've never seen Tom Brady fail. Why would you bet against him?
That's all we can say.
Yeah, I get that. Man, I don't know.
Physical ability-wise, you can show me where he missed the throw or he couldn't make the throw, or they didn't even bother trying it because they're aware that
was the real answer.
Drew Brees.
Yeah, that was the real answer. They didn't put him in a situation where he had to try to make the throw.
He never didn't do anything wrong. They just never asked him to do too much because maybe they know.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, I don't want to package it to say that Tom Brady is just absolute garbage now. He's not. He can still throw the football. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, he can still throw the football. I'm just saying he can't do certain NFL throws, certain big throws anymore.
Well,
it's just not
he just can't sling the rock gunslinger, like Jameis. But Jameis did to both teams.
Yeah, exactly.
Brady's going to be able to help him out a lot.
I absolutely agree. I'm gonna go.
I'm over.
I'm gonna go under.
I think the Saints go 12-4. I think the Bucs go 11-5 or 10-6. They still are getting a spot in the playoffs.
Yeah, I get that. I 100% get that. And they play a lot of the similar teams that we mentioned for the Saints, so we don't really need to go over that again. Yeah, I'm going to go under very reluctantly. I would never bet on this. That's a tough one.
Oh, no, I wouldn't bet on it either.
Yeah. All right, so we'll move on. Actually, before we move on, I did want to circle back to the Saints for a second. We talked about Jameis Winston a little bit.
Yeah.
If you look at
I forgot.
Yeah, exactly. Jameis Winston went to the Saints, and he's a backup quarterback, and we he could be the third stringer. It might be Taysom Hill getting that backup job. What will Sean? We've seen what Sean Payton can do with backups.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous if you go down the list. Again, I don't have the list in front of me. It's just kind of something that popped in my head. He's had a lot of success with backups. He's made a lot of careers with backups. I mean, look at Teddy Bridgewater. 6 games.
Teddy got paid.
He got paid, and he's a starter now. I mean, and granted, Teddy had potential when he went there. But anyway, Jameis Winston takes a huge pay cut as far as what he could have made as a backup quarterback. He takes a huge pay cut. I think $1.1 million for the season to go sit in Sean Payton's quarterback room. I mean, what could this affect Jameis Winston? Because nobody would argue that really follows the sport that Jameis Winston doesn't have top 10 physical ability from a physical standpoint, from the ability to throw the football. He has that.
Measurables, he's got all of them.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all up here, and I said that earlier when we were talking about the Bucs. It's all in the head. So if they can change that, if it's Sean Payton who has the juice, could we see the next 10 years with Jameis Winston?
Man, that'd be
the Saints?
It realistically could be scary. So Jameis got the eyes fixed. And some people say it may not be a big deal. What if it is to Jameis? What if that's the thing that just turns the mental switch and he, I don't know, almost like a placebo effect. He tells himself that he's better now. You give Jameis Winston, Michael Thomas, and Alvin Kamara and that offense.
It's scary, right?
There's a chance.
Granted, I mean, I could have said similar things about the Bucs. I mean, the physical ability is there.
Yeah.
But Jameis Winston was on an offense. I think this is kind of the best point where, I loved the idea coming into last season. I thought it could work. But you had Jameis Winston, who is a gunslinger type mentality, who's not afraid to turn it over, obviously, not afraid to throw the big throw because he thinks he can make every throw on the field. And then you have Bruce Arians, who's telling you to make those big throws, to push the ball down the field and those things. That's a bad combination. Add in the bad eyes. If the bad eyes are a real thing, look, we all know, anybody who's played a sport knows that there's a certain point, there's certain things for all of us that we can flip a switch and play better.
Yeah,
I mean, and granted, on a professional athlete,
somehow?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's that's just talking casually playing sports. But as a professional athlete, if there's something there, it's possible. I get that.
There's a chance.
Yeah, I'm more looking at it from can the Saints fix the Jameis Winston problem?
Also, look at the character development there. Him going from saying that he deserves to be the highest paid. There's nothing wrong with believing in yourself. 100% believe in yourself all the way, but. The humbleness and being able to take a pay cut like that.
You have to respect that, right? Yeah, because we were ragging on him.
There's a lot of times where Jameis gets a lot of hate, and I've seen nothing but him working out. Yeah. I've seen constant workout video after workout video. He's trying. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, even us on this podcast, we made fun of Jameis Winston for saying he thinks he deserves $30 million. Yeah. He took 1.1. So he humbled himself in some way, right? So absolutely. I just wanted to mention that. We'll move on. Could it end
up being a feel-good story? Because I know you've had a lot of history with Jameis. I know you've had a lot.
I had a jersey that I had to get rid of. I mean, because I'm a Florida State fan. For anybody who doesn't know, I'm a big Florida State fan. I mean, he gave me a national championship. He beat your Auburn Tigers, and we are reigning BCS national champions because of Jameis Winston and Travis Benjamin and all that. And that was a great time and that was fun. I was living in Tallahassee. I was going to the community college, ready to go to Florida State, trying to get there. When Jameis Winston was in school, when the whole, he stood up on the there was a lot of crap that went on with Jameis Winston.
He screamed,
pussy. He screamed, he screamed, but and the game that he got kicked out of, was a birthday present to me from my parents to go to that game. It was the Clemson Florida State game, and at Florida State, my parents bought me awesome tickets to go see him, and then it was the one game that Jameis Winston wasn't allowed to play because of
suspension.
So that hurt a lot. That was one of those things. But anyway, living in Florida State, living in that area, you just start to believe everything, and you start to everyone around you saying, he's a good guy, the media hasn't misunderstood. You start to believe it, right? And it just kind of, I feel like I got brainwashed a little bit. I
can't blame you. It's almost like it's your hero in a way.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And he's our guy, and we always, build up these athletes, and I wanted to believe I loved him as a character. Like, I loved his personality and everything. At the end of the day, I think, he's a misogynist, and he thinks he is entitled to do certain things. The whole groping the Uber driver was my final straw, is where I had to say, I personally can't support a person who I've used to support who's gonna act like that. So
because you would defend him from all of us whenever his back was against the wall.
Yeah, and you know, I got a lot of crap from my friends and everything like that, and that's fine. That's cool. But at the end of the day, I'm thankful for the national championship. I love my team, all that. I don't support that, doing that to women. I don't support the character. So I'm gonna move. I had to move on from Jameis Winston. I had to throw away the jersey and just, you know, call it what it was. So that's kind of like my, you know, personal side of watching Jameis Winston, where I don't root for him. I don't root against him either. It just is what it is. I'd like to see him change.
Maybe we'll see it.
Yeah, I'd love to see the talent. It's one of those things where, am I gonna forgive him in 5 years? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
I'm jealous.
It's tough
of Jameis because of what I was hoping Cam would do.
Yeah.
I wanted to see Cam do the same thing with Sean Payton, because I think whoever's in that role is going to be the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the physical abilities. Yeah. I think Jameis can do it.
All right. So we'll move on. We'll go to the Panthers, talking about Cam Newton. Obviously, they were 5-11 last year. Yep. Had a tough season because they came in with some high hopes, and I think, you know, we were cautiously optimistic about the Panthers last year. Cam Newton plays his first 2 games. They lose both of them, and he you know, gets hurt. He does that weird video with the cigar. I didn't get that.
Yeah,
he's got a lot of videos out there. It's his YouTube.
I like the video.
His YouTube's
like I said,
weird.
I'm inherently biased. Of course, I can't help it.
Yeah. I get that you like it. I don't hate it, but his YouTube is weird. You go down some of his videos and like, oh, shit.
No one likes him. No one likes the way that he dresses. No one likes his swagger. He's built different.
I like Cam Newton. I like him as a person. But I worked downtown.
Love you, Cam.
Exactly. But like every old head that you talk to that hates Cam Newton because of the type of guy he is, I can get it. I understand where they're coming from. Like, I understand that, you know, I understand people just not liking him because of the personality, right? I don't personally feel that way. I like him. I like his personality. I don't have a problem with the way he acts, but, you know, I get that side of it as well. Anyway, he gets hurt. The Kyle Allen has to come in and play pretty much the entire season.
Which becomes the Christian McCaffrey show.
Exactly, Christian McCaffrey show. And they did pretty well, considering, right? I mean, you know, their entire team was built around Cam Newton, and they adjusted on the fly, and I thought they did okay. Didn't work out.
They were in a lot of close games.
They were in a
very close night game at Lambeau, I believe, where it was snowing. Yeah. I remember that. Came down to the last possession.
There was a minute there during the season where we're like, is Kyle Allen for real? And then he kind of showed his true colors there at the end. He couldn't hold on throughout the season and stay the guy that he proved to be for the first couple of weeks. Anyway, they go 5-11. They draft all defense. Started off with Derek Brown, Gross Matos in the second out of Penn State, and then just all defense. So you can tell they brought in what's his name from Baylor?
Matt Rule.
Matt Rule. I lost it. Sorry. All right. So they bring in Matt Rule, and Matt Rule gets a 7-year contract, and
he's got time.
They're building it the right way. I actually really love what the owner of the Panthers are doing. He came in. He gave what's his name a chance that ended up going to the
Ron Rivera.
Ron Rivera. God, I lost
You're
it today. I'm good. All right. He gave Ron Rivera a chance, moves on from Ron Rivera, gets his guy in, gets Matt Rule in, and says, hey, we're going to give you the keys to the castle. We're gonna give you every single chance to succeed. And that's what they're doing. And they're building their draft the right way. I don't
know why other people don't do that, because if you're going to have this guy, and show that you're invested in him, give him the chance and the tools to be successful.
Yeah. Say no matter what happens in year 1, we still believe in you, right?
Yes.
Year 3, year 4, you can start to question him. Year 1, year 2, don't. It's a rebuild. So they do it the right way. They're building their defense. That's how Matt Rule wants to build his team. That's great, because they have a good offense anyway. So, I mean,
I think he's saying that
looks good.
He thinks that he can take what he sees and make it work.
So, and then Matt Rule looked at the offense and said, man, if we could have just an efficient quarterback that can run the system, we might be able to do a lot of things. What do? They go grab Teddy Bridgewater, the definition of an efficient quarterback that can run an offense. I mean, it's going to work out great for them. I feel like they're over-unders 5.5. I feel like I've buried the lead a little bit. I think they're way over. I really do. I think the Panthers...
Way over?
Not way over. Okay, I think they're 7-9. Let me put it that way. Sorry, way over is a lot. I'm not nervous about saying over on 5.5. I think that's actually one that I really would bet on. That's something I'd be excited about, actually. I think their defense is not going to be great, but it's going to be improved.
You got Derek Brown.
Yeah, I like a lot of their pieces.
Brian Burns due for a breakout year.
Brian Burns, I mean, he broke out last year. It's just going to be better. That defensive line is going to be good. Gross Matos is going to help. I still like Deontay Jackson. He had a little bit of a down year last year. I get that, but I still believe in him. I still like him. I think
the absence of Kuechly is going to be
Kiki's going to be tough. Yeah, I agree. That's tough. They lose Luke Kuechly. They lose Luke Kuechly. That's going to be a tough one. But man, I still I don't know. I believe in this Panthers team. I believe in Christian McCaffrey, like you said, the Christian McCaffrey show. I believe in DJ Moore as one of the up and coming talents in the league. I believe PFF has the 11th best receiver in the league this year or last year.
Joke. I mean, he's due for the breakout.
Exactly. I think.
And who's the little gadget that you like?
Curtis Samuel.
Samuel, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you should know Curtis Samuel, man. Auburn dude.
The name was...
Yeah, No, you're good. Curtis Samuel,
He's not Auburn.
Was he not?
No, I wish he was. That'd be cool.
What was he? Where did he play? Was he Ohio State?
Look it up. We'll put it down here somewhere.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, we'll do
all right, fair enough. So they have Curtis Samuel. They added Anderson in free agency, Robbie Anderson. So that was a good one. Yeah, I believe in him. I'm sorry, I talked too much.
No, you're good. I'm taking the over as well. Yeah. I'm not going to say it in as much confidence as you are. I could see where this team could be held up at times. Just being in this division, it's so tough.
It's a tough.
I could see the Saints sweeping them. I could see the Bucs sweeping them on paper. I understand the end of division.
That could be 4 losses right there. Absolutely, I 100% get that. Yeah,
they're not the favorite in any of those games. That's not splitting with the Falcons. So it just depends. But I do like the pieces. I like the direction that it's going. Christian McCaffrey, of course, as long as you let him run the show, and then Bridgewater makes the right throws to DJ Moore. Sounds good.
I think McCaffrey's the best running back in the league.
I think they're going to have a really rough defensive time. I think it's one of those things where they're probably going to struggle at times. A little tidbit, an exciting player to watch is Phillip Walker, the best quarterback from the XFL. I think he's going to easily overtake Will Grier for that backup role.
Did he? He went to the Panthers?
Yeah.
I did not realize he went to the Panthers. Yeah. Okay.
I think it's one of those exciting moves. You never know.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So we did not go very long on the Panthers. I think we kind of both agree on that, which is tough. I don't know, man. I don't know what it is about the Panthers. I just believe in them this year. I'm excited. And then the Falcons, I feel like I have a very similar feeling. Falcons were 7-9 last year. Their over under is 7.5. So we'll talk about that. Went defense heavy in the draft. They go AJ Terrell in the first, the 16 overall, the cornerback out of Clemson. Get Marlon Davidson, one of my favorite day 2 picks out there. Matt Hennessy, the center out of Temple. So
they a good pick.
Yeah, I liked him. As far as free agencies, they added Todd Gurley. They added Dante Fowler. They added Hayden Hurst and through a trade. They added Charles Harris in a trade. This is a team that last year I thought their coach was gone. I thought it was going to be a total rebuild situation. And then at the end of last year, they pick it up and they start winning some games late. And it was awesome. I mean, they were in it till the very last second against the 49ers in a game the 49ers needed to win. This wasn't a give me game late. I mean, it was one of those games where 49ers
they were going for home field,
and it was this close. I mean, it really was. It was this close. The 49ers almost won or almost lost that game. They probably should have lost that game if you really go back and look at it. So the Falcons, they have some talent. You look at that offense. I mean, we've said it many times. I'm gonna let you take it. It's one of your favorite stats, I feel like, of the offseason.
Oh, the 11 first rounders.
11 first rounders.
Yeah,
on
11 first rounders on offense.
11 first rounders on that offense.
I love it. I love that stat.
Yeah, that's a crazy stat. I get it. I like a lot of the things about their team. I'm kind of the
here we go. You talked them up just
as weirdly high as I am about the Panthers, I'm weirdly low about the Falcons. I don't know. I'm
high on the Falcons.
I'm glad you are. I hope
we're vice versa on this.
I'm glad.
I'm high on the Falcons because if they can stay healthy, last year they were decimated. That offensive line,
and that's the big
Alex
thing.
Mack went down. I'm blanking on Chris Lindstrom, one of their rookie tackles. He's coming to his second year.
Yep.
Hopefully they can stay healthy. They have another guy who got hurt. They drafted 2.
Yeah, their second round pick out last year. I don't remember his name.
So as long as they're able to stay healthy, I see no reason as to why they can't take care of business.
I get it.
And throw the ball to Julio.
They've never been able to stay healthy is the big thing. I love their team. Like Calvin Johnson Julio combo is awesome.
You said Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley, excuse me.
It's a wet dream having Johnson and Julio out there. Good God,
you look at Sanu and it's like, they trade Sanu for a second round pick. I actually thought they got great value for him. I mean, they get Marlon Davidson for their third string wide receiver. I thought that was a great value for them, honestly.
Especially when you say it like that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
not a fan of AJ Terrell.
I get that. I get that. I actually liked AJ Terrell. I liked AJ Terrell more after I went back because when I did the video for their draft review for the Falcons, check that out by the way. I went back and looked at AJ Terrell and watched a lot of his film. If you take away that Clemson game, and a lot of people were low on him after he played Clemson, or excuse me, he played for Clemson after he played LSU. Excuse me, I'm sorry. There were some big plays. Jamar Chase kind of mossed him a couple times, but even that game, he was in the right position. He was just playing one of the better receivers in college football. And
anyone's going to get toward. Maybe I misspoke. I don't like AJ Terrell being your number one cornerback.
That's tough. Yeah, and that's what he's coming into. He's not coming into he's not coming into an easy situation. He's coming
into a Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, DJ Moore.
I think that's a good way to put it, because I liked AJ Terrell, the draft pick at 16. He's not going to have an easy rookie season.
God, have fun trying to defend those guys.
Yeah, that's
defensive
tough.
Side of the ball. I don't like the Falcons. I'll say it like that. Grady Jarrett, I love him. He's going to be in one of my lists later, coming up for defensive players in the division. But all in all, man, they get banged up a lot. Deion Jones can't stay healthy. Keanu Neal, I don't even know where he's a thing anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's been so sad to watch their defense. My big thing about the Falcons' defense is I hate that they're getting hurt, because they do have talent on the team. There's no doubt about that. Their talent's there, but I mean, you have to be on the field to be talented, I guess. Like, that's more important. But my really thing that I hate is I don't like their scheme. And they play the same, Seattle scheme. That's where Dan Quinn came from. He came from Seattle that was winning in 2013, 2014. That's where it came from. That's where it started. I just think that Seattle scheme is so old. I think every team knows how to beat it. We all know the Seattle beaters. You can go on YouTube and find like 30 different videos about exactly how to beat this cover 3 press bail system that Seattle brought to the NFL, and then the Falcons have it, the Jaguars have it, the 49ers have it. It's all over the NFL now. And the 49ers are smart because they have it as their base, but they also go into other things. The Falcons kind of sit in that scheme a lot. And it's just too much, and I don't know.
On the offensive side, I miss Kyle Shanahan.
Kyle Shanahan, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
They're never going to be as strong as they were.
I just don't know how many times I have to say it, and everyone says it. Every single person that I know football says this: throw the ball to Julio when you get in the red zone.
Throw the ball, period. Throw the ball to Julio.
Seriously,
I don't get it.
I truly believe he is the most talented receiver in the National Football League. There.
Yeah.
I'll go bold as bold can be. He is one of my favorite all-time generational talents. And if he had the opportunities that Michael Thomas is gifted, watch out.
I'm so happy you said that, because you have defense, I have offense, and that kind of gives away my number one. I guess I'm gonna give it away a little early, but man, I agree. I 100% agree. I think he's the best receiver in the NFL.
What's their over under at again?
Their over under is 7.5.
Over.
There you go, over at 8 wins.
I do not think they get more than 9 though. So that's hard to bet money on them going 8. 8 and 8, 9 and 7.
I look at that team and I think it's more likely that they don't get to 8 wins than it is that they do, in my opinion. That's a tough one. I probably wouldn't bet on that one.
I like Matt Ryan. Like I said, it's one of the few divisions where you can paint a picture for every single team in my eyes, and I can be like, yeah, I can get
that's possible. That. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We were
not many others like that.
We were coming in last year and talking about this division as the best division in the NFL, right?
I still say it.
There's an argument to be made. It still is. Really is.
And I forgot the 49ers.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah, that's obvious. That's probably the easy pick.
That's the one. But this one. This is
a lot of talent, man.
Yep.
I would argue if you go top to bottom, there's probably close to, if not more, if not the same, more talent in this division. If you just look at player to player rankings, it's loaded.
It's good.
Yeah. So there it is. Anything else to say about the Falcons before we move on? We're good. All right, guys. We're gonna move on to our top fives. This is gonna be a weird one because usually we go back and forth with the same top 5. Now we're doing 2 different ones. So how do you want to do this? You want me to just give you all mine, then you do all yours, or you want to go back and forth?
We'll let you do yours, and then we'll let me do
let's go back. All right. So my top 5. So this is top 5 offensive players in the NFC South. I have 2 honorable mentions before I get started, right?
Surprise me.
Yeah, Ryan Jensen is the first one. I wanted to talk about the center for the Bucks. I don't. You got
to show him some love.
I don't have any offensive linemen on here, and he was just like the example for. I understand offensive line. There's a lot of good offensive linemen in this division. Ryan Jensen is the best in my opinion. He's an amazing center. It's just one of those things where I put skill players ahead of him. I just did. So that is what it is. And then the other honorable mention is DJ Moore. I didn't get a chance to put him in my top 5. I wish I could. I really do, because I love DJ Moore. I think the talent really is there. I think can be a future number 1. And this is going to be a big year for him. Can he truly break out? Because he kind of had a breakout last year. Can he truly break out again? I believe he has that talent. I really do. But I'll put it there. Yep. So my number 5, and this is where I'm going to probably piss some people off. This is where the comment section, because we'll probably clip this out. This is where the comment section is going to get heated for me. Mike Evans is my number 5 receiver.
Okay.
Well, I guess
number five player.
Yeah. Number 5 player. Excuse me. Yes, my number 5 player. I guess the next one is why I'll be. So I love Mike Evans. I think he's awesome.
I do too.
I think he's an amazing player. Probably a top 15 receiver in the league, and he's my number 5 on this list because there's 3 receivers I have ahead of him in his own division. I mean, it's just crazy. There's one in his own team. So that's kind of where
that's where I'm going to get. Mike Evans is so underrated.
So underrated.
His catch radius, the way that his explosiveness, he's a stud.
I absolutely agree. This is where I think I just had to do my 4 and 5 at the same time. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. My 4 is Chris Godwin.
I'm letting you do your list anyways. Run through your list.
Oh, we're running. Okay, cool.
Like that, yeah.
All right, so Chris Godwin is my number 4. I think Chris Godwin, and people might disagree with it. First of all, Chris Godwin was the number 1 receiver in PFF this year. So there's definitely stats to back this up as him being the number 1. Mike Evans was number 6, I think. So it's pretty close. You look at Chris Godwin and you talk about a guy who I think actually opened things up for Mike Evans. I mean, he was just all over the field. He could play inside, he could play outside, slot. Didn't matter. I mean, he was an absolute monster everywhere on the field, it seemed like. And I felt like he was the big reason the Buccaneers were able to get to 7 wins, honestly. I mean, he helped his team out tremendously. Mike Evans is awesome. If you ask me the top wide receiver duos in the league, this is my number 1 pick. I think they are the best wide receiver duo in the league. Mike Evans is awesome. I'm not trying to shit on Mike Evans at all. I think Chris Godwin is better, though. I really do. And I think Chris Godwin... I think Chris Godwin, we could be talking about him as like one of the best. This is one of the situations where Julio was on the same team with the Falcons early as their other dude early on in his career. I can't remember his name, where it was like the end of
You're talking for the Falcons guy?
For the Falcons, yeah.
Roddy White?
Roddy White, yes. Yeah. So it was Julio Jones and Roddy White, and Roddy White was really good for a long time, and then Julio Jones came out and was obviously better. I think that's kind of where we're at right now. And, those first couple of years, there wouldn't be a lot of people that were saying Julio Jones was better than Roddy White. But, history has shown us he probably was, even early on. That's where I'm at with Chris Godwin. That's where I'm at with Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans is awesome. I think Chris Godwin is just a touch better. So that's where I'm at.
There's nothing wrong in saying that. All right, fantasy-wise, would you be confident with Chris Godwin as your wide receiver 1?
Yes.
Okay.
Ooh, man, that's tough.
Do you lump him up there with the big dogs of the NFL? The Michael Thomas, the Mike Evans, the Julio.
I would if there wasn't the quarterback change. And it's not just the quarterback change.
Fantasy-wise now.
Yeah. It's not just the quarterback change. It's the scheme change that has to happen, right?
Yeah.
Tom Brady is going to be different than Jameis Winston. The targets are going to be different.
Fantasy-wise, we have never seen a Patriots receiver until Randy Moss.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Chris Godwin is going to be more valuable than Mike Evans in fantasy this year because I think Chris Godwin is better in the slot, and I think that's really where it came down to for me. I think Chris Godwin is better in the slot. That's going to be a more valuable position for the Tom Brady type offense. So I would go Chris Godwin. I would want Chris Godwin to be my number 2 receiver only because there is that risk factor that's brought into it.
That's fine. Like I said, fantasy doesn't,
you asked me a fantasy question. Yeah, of course.
Look at the situation.
It's funny because we kind of go back and forth talking about it, so we have to explain what we're talking about a little bit. All right, so I'm just doing my whole list, right?
Go ahead.
All right, Christian McCaffrey is my number 3. I think he's the best running back in the league. I really do, and it's crazy that he's my.
Some say might be a little low at number 3.
Yeah, some would say he's number 3. Yeah, I just couldn't put the other 2 in front of him. I really couldn't.
It's fair.
Or behind him, I guess. I love Christian McCaffrey. I really do. And a lot of people are going to look at Saquon Barkley. A lot of people are going to look at all the other running backs. Christian McCaffrey can do everything. He's the best pass catching running back in the league. There's no question. No one would argue that. But you go back, you can find a lot of tape of him running right through the middle for a touchdown. He's so good. He's so much better between.
He's not just a one-trick pony.
Yeah, exactly. He's good in the in the middle of that field, running between the tackles. I guess is what I'm trying to say. He's really good between the tackles, and nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to give him that kind of credit because yes, game-breaking speed, game-breaking elusiveness, so good. I mean, when it's one-on-one, it's so hard to catch him just because he's so good that way, but he's still really good between tackles as well. I think he's just a complete running back, and it's crazy to talk about because I don't think we've ever seen a running back that looks like that is like the best running back in the league. And it's kind of hard to just kind of get your head around that, I think, a little bit, but that's kind of where I'm at. I really believe that. So we'll move on there with Christian McCaffrey. Michael Thomas is my number 2.
That's where you're going to get the heat.
That's where I'm going to get the heat, is it?
That's where I think you're going to get the heat.
Yeah.
Well, it's either McCaffrey or Michael. If you're going to have a different receiver be above Michael Thomas, it's hard. Me and you are in a losing battle.
Listen, again, if we go to fantasy, yes, Michael Thomas is the best fantasy receiver in the game. He's a really good wide receiver. I love him. But I talked about earlier about how he is helped out a lot by Sean Payton. And I stand by that. And that's part of my argument for this. I feel like I'm defending when I'm saying he's the second best offensive player.
Go ahead and do the one so people know.
Julio Jones is number one.
Yeah.
I think that's obvious. Julio Jones, in my opinion, is a generational wide receiver. I think he's up there with some of the best receivers to ever play the game, and I'm talking like the best. I'm talking Randy Moss. I'm talking,
you talk about a Mount Rushmore wide receiver.
Calvin Johnson. I believe Julio is on that level, right? And he's been so good for so long. I don't feel like I should get that much hate for saying that. Maybe people disagree. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. But I think he's right there with it. And Michael Thomas is really, really, really good. I don't think he's to that level yet. And maybe he will be at some point. And, I did this looking at next season, who would I rather have on my team? And, even looking at that, it's tough for me to say Julio Jones over Michael Thomas. Julio Jones is older.
Statistically, Michael Thomas has all of it.
Of course. And Michael Thomas was a record beater last year with the amount of receptions that he had. I get all of that. And I understand. If you want to say Michael Thomas is better than Julio Jones, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. I'm really not. Like, anybody in the comments who's saying you're crazy, Julio Jones is not better than Michael Thomas, that's fine. You can believe that. That's totally fine. I don't really have any argument against it. I just don't agree with you. I guess I have a little bit of an argument.
Talent-wise, I take Julio.
Yeah, pure talent and physical ability is where I'm going from. Pure talent and physical ability, I believe Julio Jones is more talented, more physically able to do more things than Michael Thomas. That's where I'm at. He
constantly does his job day in, day out. You don't hear a peep from him.
Yeah.
Everything you could want. It is a system error that they are not able to figure out a way to get him the ball more. That's the problem.
It's just ridiculous. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah.
They beat the Eagles. I'm pretty certain it was the Eagles. He took a 58-yard bubble screen to the house. Game over.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the last play of the game. He ended.
He has that explosiveness.
Oh, of course.
He has that ability. They need to do more stuff like that.
You can put him in the slot. He'll be insane. You can give him the screen, and you can take it to the ground. Give him the jump ball. 50-50.
I think that's the thing that Michael Thomas can't do is the stuff like that going to the house, the bubbles and stuff. I'm not saying. I think maybe we're saying it wrong. Michael Thomas is amazing, top 5 receiver in the league.
Absolutely.
We're just saying that's how much better I think.
Yeah. Michael Thomas is not quite as explosive, not quite as much of a game breaker type of speed.
I label him as a red zone possession guy. He catches the ball.
Insane.
Better than anyone.
Ridiculous. Yeah. No, I think that's a great way to put it. And as far as value, I think Julio Jones is a little bit more valuable from that standpoint. Yeah, I think you put it a really good way. You helped my argument a little bit.
So you have Julio, Michael Thomas, Christian McCaffrey, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans.
Yeah, and then honorable mention, DJ Moore would have been my 6th.
No quarterback. I'll give you a minute to just defend it.
Okay. Yeah. Do I need to? You think? Give me the argument against it.
There are some people out there who would say that Tom Brady, the most sought-after free agent that we've seen in years, should be up there.
Okay, yeah, no, okay. I get where you're coming from that. I was talking about this 2020 season, and I don't see. I mean, there's to me, and I hope this doesn't come off as brass or disrespectful to Tom Brady and his greatness. But right now in the 2020 season, I don't see how you could tell me that Tom Brady is anywhere what he was at any point. You talk about legacy, you talk about greatest in the game, all that. Yeah, Tom Brady's in that conversation every single time, and most people will call him the GOAT, and I can't argue with that at all. In this conversation for top 5 players coming into the 2020 season in this division right now, yeah, Tom Brady and Drew Brees aren't there. They're just not. They're game managers. Their physical ability has declined to the point where they're not in that conversation. I don't want to say this. I don't want to. It would have been tough for me to put them in a top 10. Honestly, I don't think they're, as far as like when you just watch the games, like the amount of difference that they're making right now in their career. I get that up here is still good, and Tom Brady and Drew Brees, they have that, and I guess from making a difference, of course, your quarterback makes a huge difference. They make my top 10
solely because of that.
Yeah, and I get that, but from a physical ability, that's where it would drop off a little bit for me. Top 10, I probably have Tom Brady and Drew Brees.
Well, I mean, you're good. That's why. There might be some people who are like, well, how can you not talk about the biggest acquisition in this?
And I get that. Again, they're awesome. I think Drew Brees, and I think I worded it wrong. I think I said one thing that I would like to walk back a little bit. As far as making a difference for the team, of course, Tom Brady and Drew Brees are going to have an immense difference making ability there, of course. But from a physical standpoint, from a physical ability standpoint, that's kind of where I took it. So I'll end on that and I'll let you go.
All right, I'll let me go with mine then. On the honorable mention section, don't eat me alive for this. These guys, I have two of them. It's a package deal.
Okay.
I like the way that the defensive front is looking. Derek Brown and Brian Burns. I'm not saying that they can come out of this and be top 5 guys in the entire National Football League because I know Derek Brown is a rookie. But this group is something to be reckoned with, I think.
I wouldn't have given you shit at all. Derek Brown, and I'm a little bit higher, I think, than most on him. And you're a fanboy, so I hold
myself back.
Yeah, you call yourself a fanboy. Yeah. I call myself an unbiased, evaluator. Derek Brown would have been the 3rd pick in the draft if it was me drafting.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with Derek Brown, and I mean I think Derek Brown's insanely good. I wouldn't have given you shit if he was like on the list at some point in a top 5.
I really think he has the chance to evolve into that.
Exactly. Now he's a rookie; he's never played a snap. Yeah. It'd be tough to. I probably would have argued against it from that standpoint, but I wouldn't have had a problem. Then an honorable mention side, absolutely. Brian Burns, I'm surprised it's not on your list. I'll put it that way.
There's some good talent.
I'm excited to hear your list, and I'll let you know at the end if I probably would have had it on or not. But let's hear
number 5. Vita Vea.
Love Vita Vea. Oh, I love Vita Vea so much, dude. He was one of the most fun defensive tackles to watch you've ever watched.
It looks like he's having fun out there when he's playing, too.
He's just this big MFer who can run, like really run. And he's just ridiculous.
He's not just a fat guy to stop up the A gap or something.
Insane. No. Like he's one of those guys where it's like, if you're on the goal line, give him the ball. Like he's just huge.
I thought that was cool.
He's just huge. Give him the ball. He's one of those. He's one of those. What was the refrigerator called? The defensive tackle back in the day. That used
refrigerator to Perry.
Yeah, exactly. One of those type of guys. I love him. I think that's a great for number 5.
Number 4, DeMarco Davis.
Wow, I'm surprised he's low. I'm surprised he's that low.
PFF had him at what? The number...
He was the number 1 linebacker.
The number 1 linebacker.
Last year, yeah.
I think it's one of the reasons that the Saints were able to kind of hold off and get Zach Bond. I think DeMarco Davis and Zach Bond together are going to be a force.
And then add Alex Alonso in there.
Well, maybe one of the things as to why they didn't go with a Patrick Queen. I think that was the obvious fit for a lot of people that were instant plugs. They have DeMarco Davis. I saw the guy level people at the goal line head first, and he knocks them flat on their butt. Dalvin Cook, he did it. You can go into the playoff game and look at it. It was one of the biggest hits that I've seen. His form is there. He has great character. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Number 3, Grady Jarrett.
Okay.
He's an unsung hero, I think.
When
you look at the Atlanta Falcons, I know they get a lot of crap, especially for me talking about lack of defensive talent. He's one of those guys who I know some people have said he's slack since the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I like him.
I don't think he's slacked. I think he's still been really good.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where it's like a defensive tackle. You can completely change the play. Like you can be the reason there's a 3-yard loss.
He was the third best defensive tackle in football PFF wise.
Exactly, but what I'm saying for especially for defensive tackles, you can be the reason that there was a 3-yard loss in the play and never touch the player. Like that's the kind of impact you have. It's unsung. You never hear about it in Madden or anything. Like defensive tackle is so meaningless in Madden football and like stuff like that. So mainstream is hard to defend. But man, they're very, very important
the pocket
in the NFL. But yeah, exactly. I absolutely agree.
Number 2, and this comes solely off of me being high on the Buccaneers and thinking that you got a new captain of the offense. This is the captain of the defense in Levante David.
Okay.
He's one of my number 1 linebackers in the National Football League.
Wow.
I love him.
Levante David over DeMarcus Davis.
Yes.
I probably wouldn't have said that, but okay.
Yeah. For me, it's one of those things where I think of the stuff that is asked of him on that defense is more than DeMarco Davis has on that defense. I think DeMarco Davis has some more shoulders he can lean on. Coming up with I'll go ahead and give away my number 1 in Cam Jordan. I'll get to him in just a minute. Marshawn Lattimore building off of levels like that.
Okay.
Levante David doesn't really have that same grace. He's got to do a lot more. He's got to be able to move. He's got to be able to get back in pass coverage and stop the run. Love him.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get it. I do.
It doesn't sound like you get it.
I do. I was surprised. To me, Demarius Davis is the best linebacker in the league. That's where I'm surprised he's at 4. I think that's my biggest issue with your list so far. That's my only issue with the list.
DeMarco, I could have put him up.
Yeah, of course. Again, I mean, we're splitting hairs a little bit. I agree with all 5 of your players so far.
Number 1, Cam Jordan. Yeah. Like I said, he is. He's so vocal. He talks that smack. He comes out and does it week in, week out.
So good.
And he kind of seems a little crazy sometimes in interviews. Like when you look at his eyes,
don't you? Like,
he has that factor.
Oh yeah, with a defensive lineman, you want that crazy, man. Like
he's got it.
Oh, dude, I think that's perfect.
Throw him up there with the J.J. Watts of the league. I mean, he is a generational talent.
Literally, he's like just so close to being that at that level. I absolutely agree. J.J. Watt gets so much press and everything, but Cameron Jordan is right there with him. He's so good. I love your list. I agree. I think I would have. You would
have had DeMarco a little higher.
Yeah, I would have changed it 1 to 5 a little bit.
But I mean,
you know, like I said, I don't think
you could leave off.
I don't think you did. I think Brian Burns was the next guy who, like I said at the beginning, I would have thought about having him at 5, but I totally get why he wasn't.
I left off Shaq Barrett. Some people might give me credit for that for the sacks. I think a lot of it was scheme fits.
Yeah, I think Shaq Barrett can be really good and get a lot of sacks and not be in your top 5. That's fine.
No Marshawn Lattimore.
That's surprising maybe to everyone out there or like everybody listening because he had such an amazing rookie season. He had a down year last year. I don't know what the stats were or anything. Did you look at the PFF stat?
No, I forgot the PFF. I know Jamel Dean of the Buccaneers was rated PFF-wise higher than Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah, so Marshawn Lattimore, I mean, he had a down year. I don't know exactly what his stats were, but it was not as good as his rookie season. And that happens, a little bit of a sophomore slump. So right now, I don't see how you could put him in your top 5. So I want her to respect that. Yeah, perfect. I was actually expecting to have to give you crap for putting Marshawn Lattimore in your top 5 because I would have.
Left him off.
We're good, man. That's it. Thank you guys so much for watching if you're on YouTube. Thank you for listening on the podcast. Please come to YouTube, subscribe to the channel. If you're on YouTube, subscribe on whatever your favorite podcast listening app is. Get us those downloads. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. We're growing. We're getting a lot of new listeners every single week.
I look forward to it every week.
It's been awesome. We're just growing. We're looking to have some conversations with other podcasts and get out there a little bit more. A lot of great stuff coming. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out, guys.
7.